Hey everybody, this is Adina from Immigrant Finance. I am going live on a new software system today, testing out. So just give me a moment while I get this sorted out and while we wait for folks to join. I'm doing a live stream using this new software I'm playing around with called Restream, where apparently we're going live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you're on any of these channels and watching, give us a shout out, say hi in the comments so that we can know it's working and say hi back and make sure that we're able to give you a shout out and answer any questions you might have. So today I'm going to be doing a live, also recording for the podcast, talking about the topic of embracing uncertainty in your financial and business goals. So really important topic. And while we just wait for folks to join, I'm going to see if we are going live. Apparently with Restream, you can't see from your own Instagram if it's live, apparently. So I'm figuring this out, but I'm just kind of sharing with you all as I'm figuring it out in case anyone's interested in using this for your own stuff. Let's see. Well, we'll find out if it's live. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Let's see. So today, talking about this topic of embracing uncertainty in your financial and business goals, as I mentioned. This is a big topic because what I found both personally in our own experience with learning about finances and starting an online business is there's a lot of uncertainty in doing that. You don't know if it's going to work. It's something that's new for you. And for many of you that I talk to in our community, that's something that scares a lot of people and holds folks back from getting started with things like investing or starting a business. And these are really some of the most strong ways you can be building wealth. So that's why I want to start talking about these topics more, of embracing the mindset stuff that gets in the way, because that's what can hold us back from getting started and building wealth. So first of all, like I said, many of you I speak to in our community, you have these amazing goals to be investing and building generational wealth and starting businesses, but aren't able to actually take that step forward because of this mindset that gets in the way. One of it being the uncertainty of, will it actually work? But there's so much that's packed in with uncertainty, right? It's not just uncertainty, it's the fears and the doubts. Is this actually going to work, right? Is this actually going to be happening for me, right? Am I actually going to be able to have the results and outcomes that I want and build generational wealth, right? There's so much unknown with it, and that can be really scary. And I talk to a lot of you who want to be doing all this, as I said. I just want you to know that we've been there. Mal, my husband, Mal, and I have gone through a lot of instances where we've had a lot of uncertainty with our financial and business goals and haven't known, what's going to happen, if it's going to work out. Our goal is actually possible, right? And it's really scary. And I'm going to talk more in detail about our story when it came to doubts with investing and getting started investing. But let me just start off talking a little bit about this topic of uncertainty in the first place. So with uncertainty, anything in the future that is a goal that you envision is going to be uncertain, right? Anything that's not currently fact and reality right now in this present moment is going to be uncertain. And if you're listening live and you can hear this, go ahead and chat in the bottom if you know what I'm talking about. If you've experienced uncertainty, put a hashtag yes, I know what you're talking about, right? Because it's just the name of the game, and we get so scared of it because we don't know what will happen, and that's when doubts and fears will creep in, right? But the thing is, if you have actually envisioned something and you have had a goal, right, to move forward on something that you want to be building for you and your family and your community, there's a reason you've had that vision and that thought, and it's not something made up. I've actually been learning recently about how this idea of imagination is really made up, right? It's just a way like humans have tried to put a label on something that we don't really comprehend or fully understand because it's very mystical. But it's helpful to think about how there's actually no such thing as imagination. If we can vision it, it's actually already available to us. It's already real. You wouldn't have had the thought and the desire in the first place if it wasn't possible for you. So if you've had the vision and the thought and the desire for your family to be actively investing, building wealth, starting businesses, increasing income, making an impact, helping others, that means it's possible for you. And this is going to sound very woo-woo, but I wanted to share some like advanced money consciousness stuff I've been studying recently that's really interesting. So there's this idea, have you ever heard about like the third eye, right? In many religions and cultures, there's art and discussion and literature about the third eye, which is like in the space between your eyebrows. It's the center of your head. And it's this idea of, while your two eyes here currently can only really see the present and the past, there's this eye in the middle that's able to reveal insights into the future. And that's kind of what we refer to as imagination. But really, it's something that's connected to energy and the universe and what is possible for us, our dreams and desires. They're all real. They're just maybe not in the present right now or in this particular dimension that we're in right now. But if you can see it, if you can envision it, it's possible for you, or else you wouldn't have had that vision and desire. So that's a helpful way to start kind of rethinking and reshaping what we mean by uncertainty. Because if it's uncertain, it by default, that just means it hasn't happened, and that's all. There doesn't have to be a negative story about that. So instead of fearing uncertainty, we can start to accept that this is really part of the game, right? That not being able to know for sure what will happen with our future desires and goals is just because of the fact that they haven't happened yet, and that's all. And so instead of freaking out about how uncertain it is, and letting our fears and doubts and insecurities get in the way, right? We can just kind of accept instead that yes, it's uncertain because it hasn't happened. I don't know exactly how it will play out, but instead focus on trust. Trust that if I've had this vision, if I've had this desire, if I've had this insight to how things could be for me and my family, that means it's actually already available to me. And that's something that I can start taking steps toward to be able to pursue. And there are many financial advisors, coaches, experts out there who will teach you that, you will have to like really plan for mitigating all possible risk, and that you can even maybe predict exactly what will happen with your finances. And it's a lie, honestly. Like there's a lot we actually can't predict, and it's more about having trust and going with our instinct for these visions and desires that we have, and trusting that they're going to happen, because we wouldn't have had that desire and vision in the first place if they weren't already available, and taking the steps we need to take to turn them into reality. So instead of, trying to lie and tell you that we can get rid of all possible risk in the system with your finances, or that we can try to game the system and think we know more than the system and try to get these crazy returns on investments that no one else can, which also, is kind of a lie. Instead, we really focus on immigrant finance, on what can we do sustainably? What steps can we start taking to be investing and increasing income to build wealth over time that involves some risk because it is uncertain, but also we can trust is going to work out because it's something that we have envisioned for ourselves, and we can apply strategies that have been proven over time sustainably to work and get results. And I'm going to tell a little bit about our experience for my husband Mal and I when we started investing, and all the fears and doubts we had with the uncertainty. So, our financial goal was we really wanted to get started investing. We were really struggling financially when Mal immigrated here from Ecuador in 2013. We were living paycheck to paycheck. We had no way out of our situation. We were both in underpaid or unpaid internships and at nonprofits. And we had these goals for this life we wanted together. We wanted to be able to own a home. We wanted to have children. And there was literally no way to get there in the situation we were in. And we were really actively trying to learn about finances and become financially empowered so that we could get out of that. And it became very clear that one of the ways to do that was to start investing, because that's really the only way, one of the only ways that you can sort of beat time, right? To have your money grow faster and for you to be able to be setting up a system to be building wealth. And so we had read a lot about it. We had researched a lot about it. We knew it was going to be possible for us to start building wealth through investing, but it seemed very uncertain. At the time, like I said, we were living paycheck to paycheck, or we were sometimes going into debt certain months, and every dollar just seemed so scarce. And to risk some dollars to be investing in building for the future just felt terrifying because we felt like we had no control. It was so uncertain what would happen with that. We knew there were strategies and methods we were studying that had been proven to work to grow that money, but there's no guarantee, right, when it comes to investing. And so we had to really start changing our mindset and moving to a place where we could try to find a way to start trusting ourselves with baby steps to get started with investing. And it seemed like that was going to be possible for us as a way to get out of paycheck to paycheck mode, out of survival mode. But there was no guarantee it was going to work, right? So we just had no idea if we were going to lose all our money. And that was really, really scary for us and almost held us back from getting started. And it would have been very easy for us to never start with investing because of that. But instead, what we realized is that we had to take on some risk in order to get a reward. And this is really this idea of a concept in one of the universal laws called the law of polarity. So there's actually many universal laws out there. One of them is law of attraction. You may have heard of law of attraction, right? And manifestation, but there's actually 11 universal laws. One of them is the law of polarity, and it's about how basically you have to, first of all, everything that you desire and the solution to every problem already exists, right? It's like usually the opposite. And that often we have to give up something in order to get what we are desiring and to go to the next level. So usually you have to be giving up some kind of either time, money, or comfort in order to get where you want to get. That's the law of polarity. And we didn't understand what the law of polarity was at the time, but looking back on it, that's definitely what was happening, because we had to realize that we had to give up some degree of comfort for sure, and also money to take the risk to get started investing, not knowing how it's going to work for us as new investors, because it was uncomfortable, right? There was uncertain. This whole talk is about uncertainty. And we also didn't know if we were going to lose the money we were investing, and money was really, really tight for us then. So what was going on was the law of polarity. We had to take some risk in order to get the reward that we otherwise would not be able to get. And this is really about actually opportunity costs. Opportunity costs is about basically how, what are you going to lose if you don't do something? And this is a way that wealthy people think. And this is really an important concept for building wealth. So wealthy people, instead of thinking of like, how much money am I going to lose right now to take this opportunity, they think about how much am I going to lose if I don't take this opportunity, right? Like, what am I going to miss out on with my opportunities for building wealth, for more time with my family, for more opportunities to learn so I can learn more ways to build wealth. They think about that when opportunities come up. So that is something we had to go through as people who were very new to learning about building wealth, that we were going to have to switch our thinking and think about law of polarity and opportunity costs. If we didn't take the steps to invest, we were going to miss out on the ability to grow our money and make thousands and thousands of dollars, even just investing a small amount. So we had to come up with a plan to take steps forward despite that uncertainty, despite that risk. And we had to basically trust ourselves and trust the process and not let the doubts and control and take over, the doubts and the fears. Now, even though we were growing and taking steps to do that, obviously the doubts and fears still came up as new investors, like I'm sure it does for any of you listening who might be new investors or thinking about investing. And there's a lot of fears of like scarcity mindset coming up, of not having enough money. You know, what if I lose that money and I needed it? I won't be able to get it back. All of that, and worrying about every dollar. So all that was going on, but we were able to focus on taking that small risk by starting with investing a small amount of money just to get started. And by doing that, we were able to really start growing our money, because investing is all about taking advantage of time in the market. It's not about necessarily how much money that you have. It's about, or how much money you invest. It's about investing small amounts consistently so you have the years for that money to grow. So by doing this and getting started and being able to embrace that uncertainty despite the fears, we were able to start growing our money and have it grow over the past 8 years since we started investing. And that has allowed us, with, you know, nonprofit, relatively low incomes, to be able to build wealth and grow our money, and now be in a place where we have multiple 6 figures. And it's really not just about the money that grows from that. It's about the transformation that happens when you can start taking those baby steps and risk and embracing that uncertainty, because we learned how to trust ourselves and we learned how to take reasonable risks in order for that greater reward and to not miss out on those opportunity costs. We learned to embrace the uncertainty of the situation so we wouldn't miss out on the opportunities that were available for us. And this is the same thing, actually, same concept that applies with taking steps in starting a business or growing a business, right? I can tell you from starting Immigrant Finance, there's been many, many stages where we've had to repeat this same process of trying to figure out how to embrace the uncertainty and work through our doubts and fears in order to take those reasonable risks to go forward to be building wealth. And I wanted to share this all with you, this story, because I think it's really important to talk about the mindset, because even if I teach you perfectly how to invest, how to budget, all that, like if you don't start working on the mindset and learning how to think differently about opportunity costs and taking risks in order to have a greater reward, it's going to be really hard to transition to building wealth, because so much of it's mindset. I always say 99% of building wealth is about mindset. And even now, with Immigrant Finance, with our online business and platform, we are still going through this constantly. So I'll give you another example to make this more concrete when it comes to business. So right now we are working on creating the Spanish version of our signature program, Immigrant Finance School. Mao has been translating each lesson, slowly but surely, while he is taking care of our 19-month-old daughter. I don't know how he's able to squeeze it in. And we're taking steps to make it possible for people who are Spanish-only speakers to start investing, even though the investing platforms are all in English. So we're working on creating forums and different ways that we can make it more accessible to Spanish-only speaking immigrants, so to reach our goal of helping and supporting and empowering more immigrants to become investors and building wealth. And all of this is really scary because we don't know if the investments we're making to make this possible are necessarily going to pay off, right? So we're in talks with a potential associate coach who could potentially be leading some of our sessions in Spanish and helping people open accounts in Spanish, which is super exciting. And we are starting to create the forums right with him, and it's really exciting how it's starting to come together. But there's a lot of uncertainty, right? We're in the pre-stages of it. We're making these investments up front to get this off the ground, not knowing if anyone will want to participate, right? But we have to trust ourselves. It's the same thing I talked about. And it's also about with business, like listening to your market. We've talked to several people over the years who are looking for what we provide in Spanish, and it doesn't exist. So that's why we're creating this, so that we can serve them and make sure that anyone in the immigrant community is able to invest and get started, even if they only speak Spanish and not English. And hopefully one day we will be able to incorporate it for other languages as well. So it's the same thing here, right? We don't know how it will go, and we just have to trust, just like we did with investing, that it's going to be worth the investment and the risk in order to be growing, right, and expanding and serving more our community. So that's a little bit of a story to make this all more concrete about this topic of embracing uncertainty when it comes to finances and business. And now I want to just talk through 3 ways that you can be doing that. And if you are live, go ahead and comment or say hi, so that I know our new software we're trying out to go live is working. I have no idea if anyone is able to hear me, to be honest, or if this is going actually live. We will find out. It will be posted on the podcast. Folks listening on the podcast, I hope that this is useful, and thank you for listening. So here are 3 ways you can start embracing uncertainty when it comes to finances and business. One is this idea that I spoke about of uncertainty is it's part of the game. It's anything where you're moving forward to reach a goal, there's going to be uncertainty, and that's just kind of a default rule. So instead of fearing it, we can just embrace it and expect that is actually expected, and it doesn't need to be feared so much. It's okay if doubts and fears come up. Be compassionate with yourself, but don't let them hold you back from moving forward, because it is an expected part of the process with anything where you're moving forward and expanding and reaching your goals in the future. Don't let that stop you. And I talk to too many people who have these amazing dreams and goals, but aren't able to move forward because those fears of uncertainty dominate so much. So this is a way you can maybe reframe that and just kind of say to yourself, okay, anyone who is investing for the first time, or budgeting for the first time, or starting a business for the first time is going to be feeling this way, and that's normal. That may help you be able to move forward, especially if you are the first in your family to be doing any of these things. You don't know anyone else around you doing it. Understanding that this is actually expected might empower you to keep going and be the leader and the first one in your family community to do this. The second lesson that I covered is on opportunity costs, which is really how wealthy people are thinking all the time, and how they're able to really be building their wealth mindset-wise, is they think about, instead of how much am I going to lose from this risk or investment, they think about, what am I going to lose if I don't take this step forward, if I don't make this risk or investment? And they make decisions based on that and where they want to be instead of where they are now, right? And so they don't let the fear or the scarcity mindset or the uncertainty be driving their decisions. They make their decisions based on that future vision and what needs to happen to get them there, trusting that it will work out if they keep persistently taking steps forward. And so you can start applying this and learn to make better decisions based on where you're going and where you want to be, rather than where you are now and where the people surrounding you are who are in the same environment. Make decisions about, what would that person decide who is 5 years from now, who is where I want to be? How would they make a decision about this opportunity? And then the third lesson we spoke about is the law of polarity, which is, the solution to every problem already exists, but you have to always give up something to get there, to up level to the next level. Anyone listening, I know you have gone through some experience in your life where you've had to grow and expand and go to the next level, and there's been some challenge to get there. So I know you'll know what I mean. Usually it's time, money, or comfort is something that we have to give up a little bit in order to expand and go to the next level. So accepting that can also make it easier. And it can also be affirming if you feel that you're on the cusp of going to the next level in reaching your financial and business goals or personal goals, that you have to give up something to get there. And with that note, I hear my daughter waking up from her nap, so I'm going to wrap up. But I will just say that we would love to support you if you want to talk through this at all anymore. You can sign up for a complimentary 30-minute consultation with us, and we can help you start talking through and working through your fears and doubts and financial strategy. Just go to immigrantfinance.com/consult. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the day.